Hello and welcome to another Beardy David video. Now today we are talking all about movies from 2020. Now as you all know, I watched a hell of a lot of films last year, over 200, and so I thought it would be a good idea to pick my 5 best films and then probably more fun, my 5 worst films. Now the films that I picked are ones that were all new to me last year. That wasn't necessarily released last year, but these were all films that I've watched for the first time, because I could have easily have picked like Back to the Future, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to like pick films that I hadn't seen before. So let's get straight into it by looking at my 5 best films from last year. These are in no particular order. These are all kind of like 5 stars and things that I really enjoyed watching and that I probably think that I will go to and look again. So number 1 is Perks of Being a Wallflower. Now, Lauren has told me to watch this a few times and I was always like, yeah, I might do. I'll get around to watching it at some point. Like we all have lists of films where we're like, yeah, we'll get around to watch that one day. But we just sat down and it popped up on Netflix. So we watched it and my word, I absolutely bawled my eyes out at Perks of Being a Wallflower. Lauren had the book, so I'm now going to be reading the book. Hopefully this year. I think I'm going to aim to read it this year, maybe around like autumn time. So basically, it follows the story of Charlie. He's a teenager, and he's coming to terms with the suicide of his best friend, and he goes to high school, and he struggles, and then a few of like the senior high school kids like kind of take him under his wing and show him about life, and it's just one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen. It's just amazing. I cannot believe how much like it really affected me, and I think about Perks of Being a Wallflower quite a lot. It was just such a touching film. And I think I might actually revisit it very soon just to see if I still get the same feels. I really didn't think much was going to come from it, but it was just outstanding, and I just loved all the performances from everyone in it, from like Emma Watson and Ezra Miller. It was just fantastic. I loved it. And the next on the list is The Personal History of David Copperfield. Now, we saw this way back in January of 2020. I think we went to the cinema to watch this actually when we saw it for the first time. So it basically follows the life of David Copperfield, and as a very young lad all the way up to his adult life, and he's played by the fantastic Dev Patel. I love Dev Patel. He's such an amazing actor, and I'm throwing it out there. I want Dev Patel to be the next James Bond. I've seen him in a kind of like an actiony role, and I think he would be perfect. Back to David Copperfield, yeah. So it follows him and just his life, and it's so beautifully shot, and it's really like told in an imaginative way, and like some of the sets, the way it changes, it almost looks like it's some of the sets change as if like a book's being folded, which is one of the things I can remember, and that just really blew my mind at just how little things like that really like bring the film to life. And as I said, like some of the other performances, like Hugh Laurie, Tilda Swinton, and like people from the UK. If you've seen This Country, Daisy May Cooper is in it. And you like, if you don't follow her on Instagram, go and follow Daisy on Instagram, because she has been hilarious throughout all of last year with some of her videos. It's just a lovely British film. Like, there's not many British films that I don't like, but this one I love. And it's really up there, like, and I think it's on Netflix or Amazon Prime at the minute. So if you haven't seen that, definitely go and give it a check, because it's worth a look. And then next on the list is Little Women. Oh my word, how much did I love this film? I've never seen the 90s version with, I think, Winona Ryder, but I am now tempted to go and give that a look, but this is going to be tough to beat. This was filmed in 2019, is directed by the amazing Greta Gerwig, and it stars Saoirse Ronan, Laura Dern, Chris Cooper, Florence Pugh, and Timothy Chalamet, who's just amazing. And oh my word, like this film absolutely, also along with like the same way as like Copperfield, absolutely blew my socks off. I just couldn't believe when we went to this. I believe we also went to the cinema to see this as well. When we went to see it at the cinema, I was expecting very, very little, thinking I'll probably be quite bored with this. I don't think this is going to be my cup of tea. The only things that I already knew about Little Women was what I saw in that Friends episode when Joey reads the book. And I'm tempted to read the book now. I think I probably should. I think I might try and read it this Christmas. And as I know it's quite a Christmassy film. But yeah, oh my God, it's just so beautiful to watch. I could watch it all the time. I think we did watch it again this year, that we watched it toward like around the autumn time, because it's just such a lovely film. And we are actually in a film club at the minute with some of our friends, which I think Lauren might be picking it. So yeah, oh my word, please, if you haven't seen Little Women, watch it, because it is just the most heartwarming, lovely, joyful. Like, even though there's a touch of sadness, there's very little peril in this film, and that is what Lauren and I like the most. Number 4 is Knives Out. Ha! Man, Knives Out. What just a crazy, fun, silly, over the top, absolutely great like murder mystery. I've never been a huge fan of murder mysteries, and I hate the game Cluedo, can't stand it. So I kind of sat down to watch this, a bit like reserved, thinking I definitely won't enjoy this. But it was brilliant. It was so fun. And it was such a different take on a murder mystery, because you find out who the murderer is very early on. So you kind of know what happens, but then it's just the fallout from that. And the cast is just, oh, like, it's got Toni Collette, Jamie Lee Curtis, Chris Evans, Daniel Craig in one of the best performances I've ever seen. Like, clearly you can tell all of them, especially Daniel Craig, was having an absolute blast in this role. I think there is a sequel being made, and I'm fully for it, because I'm guessing that Daniel Craig is probably going to be the only returning actor in the sequels, and then he'll just follow another case. And I could definitely see it becoming a movie series, a bit like a Midsummer Murders like movie thing, and all of the murder mystery detective shows from like the 90s and the 80s. It would be I would definitely watch it, because his character is so much fun to watch working it out. It's brilliant. And then number 5 is it's technically a movie. I was able to log it on my Letterboxd app, so I'm classing it as a film, and it is the musical Hamilton that went on Disney Plus last year. It kind of almost kicked off Disney Plus for everyone in signing up to it. It certainly did for us, and we kind of sat down and watched it. Like, I'm a big fan of musicals. Lauren, not so much. She doesn't mind them. So as we sat down to watch it, every second it just got better and better and better. It's just one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. Like, even though we wasn't in the theatre, just one of the most amazing things on stage I've ever seen. And I really hope that once all of this crap is over with, that we are able to buy tickets maybe within the next 2 years, because I think it's going to be very, very popular. A lot of people would have seen it through Disney Plus for the first time, so they will be desperate to go and see it, as are we. And I know that in a minute, once it resumes, that Hamilton, the London stage show, that Trevor Dion Nicholas is playing George Washington. And if you don't know him, he used to play the genie in the Aladdin stage show. Hold on, Minnie's just trying to eat a plant. Oh, sorry about that. Minnie has stopped eating the plant. Yes, and I know how much of a great actor he is on the stage. So fingers crossed that we can get tickets to it. But yeah, this has just got an amazing array of songs. Every song is just an absolute belter. It's just so good. And Lin-Manuel Miranda, what can't the man do? He's a pure genius, and his acting skills, like writing skills, songwriting skills, are just like beyond like anything that I could ever even imagine. He's so talented, and just watching some of like the choreography with it. So like they kind of do 2 songs, but they involve the same choreography. And there's a YouTube video where you can see both songs being performed, but all the cast get the exact same dance spot on, but just with completely different lyrics. I think it's very clever, little things like that. And oh my word, like it's just, if you haven't seen it and you haven't got Disney Plus, even if you just sign up for it for 1 month, like I think it costs $6.99 or $5.99 a month for Disney Plus. It's worth it. It's worth it, even if you just sign up for 1 month just to have a look at Hamilton and then sign off. Please, like it's such an event to watch. And as per usual, I wish I could watch it for the first time again. I mean, and Lauren and I, we just have the soundtrack on pretty much non-stop now, which is coincidentally one of the songs. So yeah, so there we go. Those were my top 5 movies of 2020. Now, let's have a look at the worst ones. The first worst movie of 2020 is, of course, Cats. Oh my word. Now, we know it came out in Christmas of 2019, but obviously I didn't go to the cinema to see it. I don't really know anybody who went to the cinema to see it. It came onto Sky around Christmas time. So Lauren and I, we kind of sat down and we was like, right, let's see how we get on and let's see how long we can last. We managed the whole film because it's one of those films where it's so bad you can't switch it off. It was like, we got 20 minutes in, it's like, should we switch off? It's like, no, I want to see how bad it gets. And it does, it just gets worse and worse and worse. So like with the cast, like it's got Judi Dench, Rebel Wilson, Taylor Swift, Idris Elba, Ian McKellen. It's got this just such a huge cast of people, and it's got some like there's some ballet dancers in there as well, and you just expect it to blow your mind, and it does blow your mind, but for all the wrong reasons. Like just the set pieces, they're so way off. Like 1 minute, so you've got to imagine they're the size of cats. And basically, from what I gather from the storyline, is that there's a cat who's just been chucked out onto the street, but she's been introduced to all these new cats, and it's the night of something where a cat is going to be reborn, which I think they're going to be killed, basically. And at the end, like, I'm going to spoil it for you because if you haven't seen it, I don't advise you to watch it. But basically, they get sent off in this great big balloon because I don't know what the hell's going on at the end. And basically that is the film. And this cat just goes from almost like place to place, and there's a different cat character, and they do a little dance number, and then she goes on to the next one. I just don't get it. I just don't get the point of like the CGI, the portion sizes, the sizes are well off. Like they'll hold a great big milk bottle and drink from it, which looks massive, and then you'll see these tiny mice that when you put in the perspective of a human, they're probably the size of ants, these mice, and it's just weird. It's weird, like it's hard to even talk about without just thinking what the hell went on with that film. Yeah, so although I say to not watch it, I kind of want you to watch it just so you've seen it. You can be like, I've seen Cats and it was weird and I don't really want to talk about it ever again. Now the next film is, it's a second appearance for Rebel Wilson. I'm sorry, Rebel, you didn't have a very good year. Although this is a little bit older. So this is The Hustle. I think this was about 2018, maybe 2017, I believe. This is a terrible, terrible film. This stars Rebel Wilson and Anne Hathaway, and they are a couple of scammers. And so they try and scam rich men out of all of their money and all their jewels and stuff. And it's just a really, really bad film. It's not funny whatsoever. I like Rebel Wilson. There's just a bit where she's in a jail cell. She's trying to tease the officer into letting her out of jail, and it's just really awkward to watch. I just didn't quite. It was just a terrible film. Like we really had to sit down and force our way through it. I think we was watching it with our friends' film club, so it was like, well, we can't switch it off. We're gonna have to watch all of this, and it just didn't work. It was just some of the acting is horrendous. And it's just not funny. There's nothing worse than watching a comedy that doesn't make you laugh, and yet you have to sit through it. Now, the next film is a 90s classic that we actually watched when we went away for my birthday, and it's You've Got Mail, starring Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan. Now, I love a good rom-com from the 90s. I mean, I love a good rom-com anytime. But this one didn't feel like a rom-com at all. It's definitely the year that we live in and the things that we now know. But yeah, it definitely doesn't work nowadays. It hasn't aged well at all. So basically, these two people, they're both like in happy relationships, but they've got like an online relationship via email, and they both run bookshops. Like Tom Hanks's character he's almost like the Waterstones owner, and then Meg Ryan's character just owns a little independent bookshop. And then outside of the emails, they come head to head. They obviously don't know that they're talking to each other on emails. And they end up hating each other, and then he's about to open a brand new bookshop right opposite hers, and it's going to put her out of business. And then so they're basically bitching about each other over email, but not going into detail about who this person is. And then all of a sudden, sorry, I'm going to spoil this again, but if you haven't seen it, you're probably not going to, well, if you might do, then skip through a bit of this, but I need to tell you. But basically, Tom Hanks finds out that Meg Ryan is the person that he's emailing. And instead of going around to tell her straight away, he manipulates the emails, and he manipulates her into saying what he wants to feel or what he wants her to say in order to for them to fall in love. It's really weird and it's really stupid, and we didn't like it at all. It was a bit creepy almost. And then at the end, he tells her that it was him all along, and he's known that that you know, he's almost essentially been trying to manipulate her into doing. And she was like, "I knew it was you all along." It's like, you probably didn't. And if you knew about it today, you'd probably ring the police and you get a restraining order against him. Film number 4 is The Secret Garden. This is the 2020 remake. Yeah, I think it came out last year. And this stars Colin Firth and Julie Walters and Amir Wilson, who is Will from His Dark Materials. So that was quite fun to see him. But this film was very, very boring, unfortunately. It was quite sad and just like, I just didn't really get it. It just didn't really seem to gather pace. Like, the thing I was obviously most looking forward to was The Secret Garden, the actual garden itself. And don't get me wrong, it was a beautiful garden. It had some lovely things in it, but I was just expecting it to be a bit more like magical, and I thought like the Secret Garden was going to have more of a magical element to it. I don't know, like just something a bit more whimsical than what it was, because when you're not in the Secret Garden, it's very dreary and it's very dark, and for it to be a kids' film, it's not much fun for kids. I don't think. It'd be interesting to know if any of you have seen it, or any of you if you have a child, if they've seen it and what they thought about it. But we really couldn't get into it. It was really slow paced. I mean, thankfully it was only, I think, about just under 90 minutes, so it was a relatively quick film, but for a 90-minute film, it did feel like it was 3 hours long. And then my last film, I was really, really excited about this, and I didn't even know it was coming until like a month it was being released, which nobody did, I don't think, and that is Borat 2. Now, back in, when did the first one come out? I think I must have been like early 20s when the first one came out. I think it was like mid 2005, something like somewhere around there, like the early noughties. The first one came out, and it was hilarious. It really like pushed the boundaries, and it was more like a bunch of sketches, and some of them were really funny. I haven't watched Borat since watching Borat 2, so I don't know what I'd feel about it now. But I just remember there's like some naked running. Like Sacha Baron Cohen did push the boundaries in a few of those sketches, but I felt they were more comical and they weren't really like that harmful. But in Borat 2, it's just, he really wanted to go out and anger, because it was basically, he wanted to go out and anger all the Trump supporters, and he did that in their thousands, and then or probably millions. But it just didn't hit it for me. It was really disappointing. It wasn't funny. Like, he tried to shock, but he didn't shock in a fun way. But it's obvious that we all knew that they was going to get angry with things that he done. So like, he goes to an anti-COVID rally, and he goes there and sings a song about China and stuff like that, and it just doesn't really hit. And then he pisses them all off, and he has to get taken up by security because like he thinks he's trying to be attacked by people. Like, it's, and I just sat there like, it's just not really my cup of tea. I don't find this funny, and it's not really that like the kind of shocking that I want. Like with the penultimate scene where he gets Donald Trump's lawyer in with his daughter and to do an interview, and then there's this bit where he's like fiddling with his microphone, and like it's just really awkwardly shot, and it just doesn't work, and it's just not very fun to watch. So I definitely won't be visiting Borat 2 again, and hopefully that character will just be laid to rest now. But hey, there we go. You can't win them all, can you? You can't enjoy all the films. So there we go. That was 5 of my best films of last year and 5 of my worst films. What were some of your favourite films of last year, and what were some of your worst films of last year? Always keen to know, because I can always go and look at them this year, because we're going to have a few months to kill, aren't we, with the latest lockdown. And just before I go, I've done this on Instagram and Twitter, and I should do it on here really, didn't I, because this is where you all are. And I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody who's followed me, as I've just recently passed my 2,000th subscriber, which is absolutely amazing. Like, I loved it. Like, I'm so happy that I now enjoy doing this channel a lot more than when I first did. And like, it's just such good fun, and I love chatting with all of you, like whether it be on Instagram or Twitter or on YouTube, like answering your comments and stuff. And like, if you ever want to email me, there's an email, like you can email me down below if you just want to chat about anything really. Like, and I've got other things that you want to follow, and it's just good fun. And I'm so thankful that so many of you just enjoy what I put out. I am putting more and more effort into getting prepped for videos. Like, you can't see but below, I've got like notes and stuff now, just so I don't forget, because I still don't think I'm a very good YouTuber. I still do struggle a lot. I have to do a lot of cutting outs, and I do a few ums and ers, but I really feel like I am enjoying my YouTube like life now, and it's great fun, and I'm just so happy that you're all enjoying it, and that you're going to hopefully continue to come along on the journey and see what happens for the rest of the year. So there we go. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.